All right. Well, welcome to our Windows Working Group meeting. Thank you guys for coming. Let me share my screen here. You guys see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to start out with I attended the release working group meeting this week just to kind of see how they're running things, and because I'm kind of involved in packaging the Windows packages and the Mac packages. And they had this cool thing they've been doing with the project boards. So here's their release. This is the release working group project board, and this is kind of how they run their meetings. They use this is kind of their agenda. They go over their goals and things that they have to do, and actions for next meeting, and who's working on what. And I thought that was a pretty good idea, a good way to track our progress and not let things fall through. So I created a Windows one. It was already there. We just weren't really using it. So I added some instructions over here and put in some of our major projects that we have working on, or ongoing projects. Some subtasks, and I kind of wanted to go over this, I guess, with you guys here.
Yep.
So the first column here is the inbox new goals. This is if you want to discuss something in our next meeting. If there's an issue that we're seeing that we need to discuss as a working group, then that column would be where you put it, and you just come up here and add a little note, type what you want to talk about, and then just hit add, and then you've got a little note there that we can talk about. If this is something we need to make a real issue and track it, then we'll turn it into an issue and track it over here in the to do, if that makes sense. The epics here are longer running, or they have multiple tasks. For example, this is the install anywhere thing. I've linked to the enhancement proposal here, as well as a SALT issue for it, and kind of tried to break it down into some of the tasks that need to be done. And I put the links to the actual issues for it, and those issues are also over here in the to-do list. Same thing for the Win repo. We've kind of been hitting on this, some of us. David, you fixed the 403 redirects I saw.
Mm-hmm.
There was still some other ones that weren't resolving the URLs properly. I went ahead and merged one because the guy, Big Bear, he wanted them. So since the links are valid and our thing's not working anyway, I didn't want to delay that, but we still need to get those figured out. But so this is just a place to track those.
Okay, yeah.
And I guess I could probably add a link to the PR that I merged so that we can know which ones those were.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that, at least in the state that things are now, a failing test probably shouldn't block an updated version being merged, as long as there's been some kind of manual test. Because I mean, obviously the whole point of the URL testing is to automate as much as possible, but I don't think we're ever going to get to 100% on that. And so if there's a manual kind of confirmation, then we should probably merge that, and then either create an issue or have an issue of problematic URLs or something like that.
Yes. Let's bring this up here. So I got new monitors and they're really wide. And if I share them, then you'll have a little long skinny screen. So I have another monitor. It's up over here. I have to look to make it a normal size. Anyways, see which one just got merged.
Yeah, I think it was Strawberry Pearl.
Yes, it was. Where is that?
What does NG stands for? Next generation or?
Generation, yeah. Where is this?
Is this yours? I had that for years.
This one. Okay, so yeah, this one here. So it did fail. We went ahead and merged them, but if you come and look at the checks, these are the ones that failed. They say problem here. Bad content. Okay, so that's the fix, is the bad content type. We got to figure out why that's happening. But if you click on the link, it does give me a download. So it's easy to check. Right, I can just click through.
It's not text HTML.
Is that what it is? It's not.
But it's
So
not text HTML. It's an MSI file. It must be binary, terrible stuff, but not text HTML.
What's the? So does it return a 400 or a 4? If you go down a bit on the result, to a 206, which is the partial. So yeah, okay. I thought that I looked at this, and in the brief time that I spent, I don't think I could work out what the problem was, but I didn't look closely.
Where is it? 200 partial?
Down at the bottom.
Right in here.
No, up a bit.
Oh, up a
Total
bit.
20 down, and then it says that's 206, the return code.
Oh, that's the return code.
Yeah, which it means, so 200 is success, but 206 means a partial return, which is correct, because with a new method, we're only downloading 100K of the file or something like that.
Are you sure that this is the return code?
Yeah, because I wrote it.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have guessed that. But doesn't bad content type mean anything?
Well, we're testing two things: what the HTTP response is, so whether it's a 400 or 404 or 200 or whatever. But then we're checking that even if it's a successful response, we're checking what the content type that the web server returns is, and yeah, and we're looking for application /exe or something along those lines. But yeah, in this case, it says it's returning a text file with HTML, but we are actually getting an MSI, I believe. So that might, it might be a problem with their web server.
Or maybe being too strict on the test.
Well, I'm going to add that to this.
So as you programmed it, when you get something with text HTML, which really isn't, what would be your take?
Right. Well, I mean, we're doing a different method now. So that content type really it isn't just what the web server is saying it is. It's actually, I think the new method is to download a portion of the file and then do kind of essentially run the file command on it, or use libmagic, looking at the magic number of the file. And so I think that's the most accurate way of testing, that the download is actually what it purports to be. So yeah, I mean, I can't actually I'd have to look into this particular URL to see what the issue is. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, awesome. So I linked to it in the Epic here. So we can go right to it and not have to dig around, try to find it. So it doesn't get
Okay.
lost.
Right.
Anyway, so since that's kind of an ongoing thing for us, that's what these epics are. And I start them all with epic because we don't really have the start. We don't have like the epic plugin or whatever that you get when you do some of those paid services. They give you some additional capabilities. So that's how we're tracking these. These are the individual tasks as far as I could break them down, or other tasks that were created. Like this one is one that I have that I'm supposed to do, writing tests for the auth tries
Oh, that's
are
very
the-
nice of you.
that Marcus did. Some guy that attended one of our earlier meetings volunteered to do this, and haven't really heard much from him since.
It's a good idea.
What's that?
It would be a good idea to have start service create. It's not an easy task. Oh,
Yeah.
I found something, by the way. I think I sent you on which channel, I don't remember. Sorry, but first finish with, I will try to keep that on my head, maybe by writing to somewhere.
Put it in here.
Oh, right.
I'm just
No,
kidding.
that's too silly. I need to first make this before I
So it's
forget.
It's just community is the name of the I guess I'll show you how to get to it. If you open the SaltStat community.
I just opened one. I opened the test. Maybe you were irritated. Sorry, David. While you talk, I created a test.
Oh, you go to projects and Windows Working Group, and that's how you get to the board.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as we go through our meeting and we come up with things that need to be done for the next meeting, those will go in here. If you're actually working on something, that goes in the doing column. And if you're having a problem or you're done or you need something reviewed, that goes in the blocked or in review. And when it's done, it goes over into done.
I personally like this thing, which is called Kanban, very much, especially when you link it to code, it's get automatically moved from left to right. And I personally find I'm not able to manage more than 3 columns. So with your help, I will try not to cry, but I reduce all this to 3 when I do it personally. And
I think that's the default. The default is looks more like this. That's the Kanban, right?
yeah. I'm able to understand. I can count till 3. All the rest is difficult.
Well, I guess we're trying to do more than just track the progress of items. We're trying to also have this be our agenda. So instead of having this thing up.
Yep. In fact, looks not, it's, yeah, in fact, that's in very good, you can dissolve that quietly in the next time.
You like this better?
No. You can dissolve that. So you can step over from the markdown, which is good, to that, which is much better for cooperation and things dynamic.
Well, I still plan on doing this, but it's not going to be, our meeting will be focused here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then you can continue.
Right.
So we are with this anonymous person. Create service is a nice idea, and maybe I can just jot in. Oh no, I take that back. Please continue with all the to-dos. I have a comment on create service at the end.
Okay, well, I'm done with, all I wanted to do was display the board. This is
Okay.
kind of how we want to work moving forward. There are some little instructions here. If somebody comes and finds this board, they can join our community Slack. They can see where the meeting notes are, see who some of the common participants. I see that you changed your name
Yes.
You're no longer Marcus Kramer Leggett.
No, it was Igit all the time, which is a play on words. Igit, or like for Git, it's an I. I was wondering why you always pronounce it with Elgit. And Igit
Oh.
is just an expression of disgust. So I had to change it at the same time.
Okay. Anyways,
Shane, should we? I mean, do we need permission or something to interact with the board, or
is it not allowing you to create a note?
no, not me.
Huh. I wonder if there are some permissions I need to add.
Maybe you need to be collaborators.
Invite teams or people. Is that you?
That's me, yes. Top one, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't,
when I was like, it was required that I do two-factor authorization, and I'm still very happy with doing all this two-factor authorization. So maybe it's not requested any longer. Or David, do you use two-factor, or are you willing to do two-factor?
Well, I do use it already, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Good. Then you're a more security-sensitive person than I am.
so let me ask who I can add. I don't know who I'm supposed to add and what levels to give you.
Mm-hmm.
Or, so let me find out about that. That'll be an action item.
Right.
So next meeting, add.
What when you
Marbix.
No, I'm in. You see, I can write.
You are in? Okay, you know what, but they made you you were the Windows Working Group captain. So that's probably why you have access.
Probably. Yeah, I tried to be captain for a while, it's true.
Okay. I don't know if I can give you permission to the board without giving you to the entire community. But there's not much here. It's just notes and it's all public. It's not like we're hiding all our deep, dark secrets here. I'm just gonna do it, dude. We'll see. Then they can yell at me. Give you right. How's that? Let me see. Okay, just did that. I'm done.
I'd like to propose we go through the to-dos because they're much easier to, not easier. They're so short.
I did want to talk about something else. See,
okay,
we need to add this one. So I thought I'd go through adding one with you guys.
Yep,
so
that's a good one.
This is going to be a bigger, I think it's going to be might be an epic. So to create these, I have to go over into issues and create an issue.
No, there's a simpler way. Start here with a note.
There is, and then you
yes.
convert the note.
And then there's a button, convert to note.
Okay. All right. What was the? Oh, it was this one. Move. I didn't do
Then
that
you can
right.
say convert to issue. Nope. Oh. Right.
There we go.
I find that easier. How can I remove our? Ah, I see. Okay. Stupid, silly question. You need a space between the. You need to be.
Create service manager Python, remove SM from NSys installer.
Is there
I don't
a
know.
space between the two parentheses?
There should be.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, that works. So now they're check boxes.
That's the reason why I like it. Yeah, the
Okay.
service manager in Python, remove NSSM from, or yeah, good. Okay, I can tell it you right now. I'm looking into Rust right now, and
Yeah.
the integration between Python and Rust is pretty awesome already, and it becomes better each month. And how familiar are you with Rust?
I have never used Rust.
Okay, David?
So you're saying to write the service manager in Rust?
I only know roughly, I mean, I know that it exists.
Oh. Yeah, this was, I think, my knowledge is like I'm one day ahead of us, of you. I think Rust is getting very much support from Microsoft and from a number of big companies. I just did 2 days of looking into videos and text, and I started Hello World on my computer, which went very well. And what interests me also is there is a huge trend to put Rust underneath Python. And the more I learn about Rust, the less I like Python. The integration is good. So yes, it could be that the service manager to be created is in Rust because it's a very low level part of the story. And the integration to Python works well. So as you said, it's an epic. Why not say Python/Rust ? And I have yet another proposal to start.
That would let me say something about that. That would be we need to determine the paradigm we're going to use then. One is to replace NSSM with something like an SSM, right? Its own separate service manager. The way Python says to do it, from what I've looked up, is we need to let Salt itself manage itself as a service and get rid of any external service manager.
Yeah, this would mean let Windows be the service manager.
Right, and provide the hooks into Python, into Salt, so that it can interact with the Windows.
Yes, the problem here is speed. The Windows manager, and that's the reason, one of the reasons why NSSM was created initially. The Windows is pretty picky with response time. So if you're a second later, you didn't respond, you're dead. This is because of the ecosystem must be, how you say, protected from silly or stupid or incapable. So yes, I would like also to have no service manager at all. And the idea is that Rust that's the first idea. So the paradigm is do not use any other service manager. Just have hooks into Salt. So this is, I'm clear about that. Create a service manager in Python. Let's leave it like this, because another paradigm, or another idea we could come up with, we can, like in any language, we can, today you can rewrite any part you like in Python with a third language. C, assembler. Python is prepared from the beginning, and this, what was his creator? The whole language from the beginning was able to externalize into another language at any point. And
Right.
nowadays, Rust too. So Rust is not the first language and will not be the latest or the last to replace parts we would like to speed up. And I looked around that not many people have created language, a pure Python thing. I looked around for it a long time already. I have found little to no examples, and I have not yet created my first Python program, which is called by the Windows Service Manager, because it's all C. All the examples for Windows services are written in C or C++. So we could profit that now the Rust community made a question. I sent you that question, and the Microsoft guy for Rust says, oh yeah, I responded. The question was, how do I write a Windows service in Rust? Or how do I hook a Rust script into make it a Windows service? And this is an ongoing discussion. And as soon as this is clear and we know how it works, I would hitchhike on that. And somehow I think I wrote it to you into Slack. Let me look that up. Could be that I wrote it to you on email. I don't know. I don't find it in Slack. Maybe I didn't send it to you. I will send it to you here. But anyhow, so the Rust idea is a separate project. Removing NSSM, I'm totally in favor. Can we do it in Python only? Yes, probably. Will it take a long time? Yes, probably. Can we do it in Rust? We will see along the way.
Okay. I put a couple links in there for, this is a PyPy project for a service manager. Good. And then this is how to incorporate it into your own code. So
yes, I think
it's
doable.
Rust, if you have the link on how to do it in Rust, then you could add that to this as well, and then we can.
Yes, it's doable in both ways, and I think we can profit anyhow from removing NSSM. There were other comments on that. There is an issue. You linked to an issue to that already. I think somebody else proposed and opened an issue.
Yeah, I think right here.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Then there's another issue.
This is my issue with it right here, is the fact that the Nullsoft, not Nullsoft, the VirusTotal scanner picks it up.
Yes.
And when you look at SALT in the VirusTotal, one of the virus scanners picks it up as potentially unwanted software, because there's a lot of malware that uses the NSSM tool to keep their services running.
Yep.
Since we're using that same tool to keep SALT running, it gets flagged as potentially unwanted. So if we could get rid of those, so we're not getting flagged by, that would be great.
And this restart to the service manager, which is another, we do not have to get into too many loops.
Okay, so we've talked about remove NSSM, install anywhere. That's one I have been needing to get on, because we want to get this in Silicon, but I've had to work on other stuff, so I haven't been able to dedicate my time. I kind of started on it. I actually split out the SALT code, put some of it in program files and all the config stuff in program data. and it started and I was really excited, but that was only because I had left the sea salt directory there with all the config. So once I removed that, then it didn't work anymore. And so we have to go through and I need to find where it's pointing to the sea salt and have it maybe get that out of the registry. Anyway, these were the kind of thoughts I had on the steps we'll need to take to fix that. I think getting salt to run that way is going to be easier than all of the different scenarios that we're going to have to handle with the installer.
Yep.
Like if
The
salt is
installers will
already
be
installed, if it's already installed at sea salt, then what do we do? You know, do we upgrade them to the new? And we kind of decided that we were just, if it's already installed in sea salt, we'll update in place. We're not going to transition them to the new paradigm. But for new installs going forward, we will split it out. That's kind of, now, you with the MSI stuff, is that going to be a pain, Marcus?
yes.
So perhaps we make the note then that with MSI, if you use the MSI, that it's gonna use program files and program data and not upgrade in place. If you want to upgrade in place, use the EXE. I mean,
You
know what I
said you
mean?
do not want to upgrade in place, right? You leave it in
Right.
salt when you find it there.
Yep, if you find a sea salt and it's there, then you just upgrade it there.
Mm.
However, you could argue, I don't know, I don't want to be moving their configs and moving their file routes and moving everything around. That's the issue I have. I guess what you could do is put the binary in program files, but leave the config in sea salt.
That's much easier. Even also for the MSI. I also have the impression that it's I was also, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, I'm so settled with sea salt, I find it hard to reason about it, because I would give somebody an introduction to the MSI, and I don't see me working on that. I would rather increase the head count on how to change the MSI, which is also a good, like the what happens if a truck hits me question. And I think it's a tedious work with not my full power after it.
Seems to me like the MSI is almost, you could have a guy dedicated to that.
I would rather do a introduction into that, because it's actually not so bad. It's silly XML. As soon as you have XML, it's silly always. XML.
You went over it with me once.
Can you repeat?
And I kind of understood it, but I don't know that I could add a new feature to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's do it together. Or
okay, we'll schedule another time. And
if it's really based only on my personal hair, it's not stable.
True, we need to have many people on it. Maybe I can get me and a couple other guys from Salt and who would be interested in working on it.
Yeah, if you feel the urge to move it from sea salt to anywhere, I will sit and babysit, and so you learn how to move.
How to work with the MSI.
Yep. Then you have a urge to change, and I don't, but I have an urge to teach. So, or to.
Okay. All right. So let's, I don't know where to put that. We need to do a handoff, a transition up.
No, I would like, I will stay inside of managing the MSI, and in fact, I want to simplify a few things, but I would factor out the change of putting it to somewhere else. This would be your introductory work in there, and then we would be 3 or 2.
Okay, I see that. Okay. All right. Did you have, was there something you wanted to talk about? You said you had something you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, maybe at the end. So you wanted to transfer all the, or this was the only thing you wanted to transfer from the Markdown into this here in the Kanban?
Well, just tracking our tasks instead of having action items here and and so it doesn't get lost, because I don't remember what we worked on here in November. I don't know what got done. I mean, maybe I ought to go through these and put them in the board.
I wouldn't continue with the action items here in the Markdown. Maybe we can say who attended, but then all the rest in the tracking is much better in Kanban.
Yeah.
For example, Unicode still bugs me. This is for me personally, Unicode is much worse a problem than where the thing is installed. I still keep problems with Unicode, still getting problems with Unicode, which is really problematic for my maintenance. And where is it installed? It's in no problem at all. I don't even understand why people care.
Well, there is a concrete reason in that the permissions are really strict in Sea Salt, in the fact that a standard user can't even see the executable or the or run the executable. And so one of my requests has been, that the executable file should be in program files, so that a standard user can, if they so wished, can run a Salt, not necessarily a minion as a service, but do a Salt call inside the user space.
Interesting.
So that's one concrete.
Well, I see. Maybe let's. It's the first time I hear that, and I totally agree. This is a benefit. Or maybe I have overlooked that argument. I understand. So a regular user wouldn't be able to change any of the PKI public and private keys, but he would be able to run a Salt call.
Yeah, because in Windows there are a lot of things which you have to kind of do within the user context. And you can't just do a run as. It just doesn't really work like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much this will be useful, but at the moment we can't even try, because you have to be administrator to even see the files.
Yeah, I would even, well, it would be no use case for me. So we do not want anybody other than administrators to run Salt on the machines.
Yeah, well, I only intend, if I go down this route, the user would only be able to change things within their sort of scope of permissions, so within their own profile, really. But yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Mm-hmm. They would be able to change things only in their profile. This maybe requires more changes than just putting it accessible, make it accessible. Or maybe not. It's interesting. It's but anyhow, I fully understand that this is the use case, even if I wouldn't use it. Then if it also runs with Unicode, that would make it even nicer. So
I wonder if you could have like a minion that runs under the system account, and then one that launches when a user logs in. That just sits
that's kind of, you could have it with a completely separate master, so a user focused master. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, you'd have to, because They share the
Yeah, because
same-
of the keys and things like that. Yeah.
Our
Right.
second master, second Salt Minion service.
That's an interesting thought. I haven't thought of architecting it that way. When you first started talking, I was thinking, oh, okay, so you could lay down some state files and then you could put salt call in the startup script for the user so they could apply those states in their.
Yeah. I mean, that's
app.
one possibility. Yes.
But then I was thinking, well, could you run another minion and it would just run a high state when it started, you know? And
Yeah. Well, these are things which would be possible, I believe. And yeah, of course, then the config files would be in app data in the user profile.
so we'd have to figure out how to run 2 minions on a single machine, basically.
Does it work? Does it work today on Linux, Unix?
As long as you could run, as long as each minion had its own config, its own keys, its own name, the name and the keys would have to be unique.
Yeah, and the port numbers. Oh no, sorry. I mean, the minion's only sort of a client anyway. So yeah.
But this affects the whole, all operating systems, or should affect all operating systems. This is not a Windows only change or effect.
Right. With everything locked down to C salt, it's harder to do right now, where if we split it out, then the same salt code would sit in program files. The system config would be in program data. And if a user ran it, it would be in user data, the config and the keys.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, that I agree.
That would be an interesting thing to try. An interesting use case.
Mm-hmm.
Where could I write that? I just want to make this note because it's something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting thought. I like it.
Yeah, maybe instead of user data, the folder is called app data in the profile.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it's called.
That's more specific.
Yes.
APP.
David, are you in both worlds, Linux and Windows? Are you strict Windows person, just to understand?
I would
And
say
Linux already splits everything out. I mean, salt gets installed in, well, see, does it? See, Etsy salt. Is that just config? Where's the actual salt code in Linux?
it would be under user local, I think.
It just puts it in the Python environment that it's in?
Yes, it's in local, what's it called?
So it's just a part of the Python.
Site install or
site packages.
Site packages, right?
No, but I think Salt has its own site packages, is in its own site packages. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
So all the config is in Etsy salt.
Yeah.
The server data is in Serve Salt. So it's all kind of split out already in Linux.
It is,
yes.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that. We kind of put everything in C salt, and then from there it's split into conf and bin. But in Linux, you don't get to choose where stuff gets installed either. Like in Windows, most installers allow you to pick.
This is also something I would repeat that. So everybody can choose a color
as long as it's
as long as it's black, and you have no choice in Linux. And why the hell it's already confusing enough to put this all in different directories, or it will be a lot of work. And we should say now it's also it's like in Linux. Now we have predefined, we know what we're doing, and no, you cannot install software anywhere else under program files. We discussed that lately, and then Shane, you said, yeah, but it's requested, and we have already promised our heads for that.
Some Windows systems are set up to have the operating system files on C drive, but then all your program files on D drive or on another drive. So when you install Office or you install
right.
another piece of
Yes,
software,
you're right.
it's not on the OS drive.
Yes, yes.
So
Thank you for remembering remembering me.
This would allow them to do that. At first, that's why I have it split out. I said update the installer. That would be your option is black, you know. Whereas then later on, we could add the ability for them to select a location. It's like being able to do this in stages a little bit.
Yeah, but I see. But then it's only the choice between C program files and D program files, or any letter program files, isn't it? So we would give the opportunity to select the drive and then where we find program files. Or do we do that then Mary Jane's folder for program files too?
I don't, the idea is that whatever location they select will get written in the registry.
Yes, it's possible. I know. It's all doable.
So
Sorry.
the Salt service just says, hey, where am I?
Yeah.
And it goes and looks at the registry and says, oh, okay, there's all my config, or there's.
Yes. No, sorry. Let's stick with all what Microsoft offers. And confusingly, this is coming up again. So I won't discuss it. Let's keep it.
Okay.
Keep our time for things which.
Well, we've written it all out in the SEP.
Yeah, and there's a SEP already, right? Oh, you can link to that, by the way, so I can have a look.
Yep, that is in there.
Oh, perfect.
It's down here. There's the SEP.
Right, so I even know where the steps are, because I want to write one, which would be the issue of renewing the master key for offline minions. I think this requires a SEP.
Yes, and I think I already started something. Whoops, dang it, didn't mean to close the issue. I meant to close it.
Close issue below. Oh, no, not close. No, right. Oh, sorry. You have even started. That's fantastic.
So these might be your issues here. Let's see if I.
Yeah, the issues probably are correct.
No, I wrote those, but it's not a SEP, and it may end up being big enough to be a SEP. What was the other one? So those are the two that we have. Looks like I did one. I must have talked to you in December and created one, and then talked to you again in January and created another one. So there's two. There's two in there. And those are in the notes, in our working group notes.
Yeah, we should put them at least here in our newly created Kanban replaces the notes idea.
You want to put them in the Windows working group stuff?
Yes, I would. It's not really a Windows topic, though.
Oh, right. No, in fact, you're right. It's not only a Windows topic. You're so right. So where do we put it? Yeah.
Create a SEP for it. I think it would be in the SEP.
Yeah, why should we do all the hard work? Let Linux people work. That's right.
Yeah, I've brought this up a couple of times, and I think it's a big issue, a big problem.
Well, I
Not
think it's
so
an
much-
important one. I wouldn't say
Not so much
technically-
being able to rotate the key itself, but in the case of a laptop where it's not connected for, it could be days before it connects,
right.
you know? And then on Monday, there's a new key and it's got to be able to, so the thought is to maybe have two keys that work, and then you roll over into the new one, and then finally the old one gets deprecated. I don't know. I'm not a,
We discussed it last time already, and we found the solutions. And I think David also mentioned programs who do it in a
Yeah.
in a time like a certain cutoff date. Was it?
Yeah, well, I don't think you would have two keys that work at the same time, but you
No.
sort of you log, or you sort of cache a new key on the minions, and then you put a
and then
deadline.
on this date, it's going to roll over.
Yeah, exactly. So let's
Okay,
say in 14 days time or 21 days time. And then, yeah, all of the minions know that at that point, they have to start using the new key. And well, and then if any minion hasn't connected to the master in those 3 weeks or whatever, well, yeah, tough luck.
Right.
But in
I
that
think
case, you only have a handful and not 10,000.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd have to hand place a new key or whatever. But you're right. It should only be a very small number of minions.
Yep. Especially when you take that cutoff date into half a year in the future, then you're pretty much waiting for the day finally the cutoff day comes. And I wouldn't say it's technically. I think the I think it's just because it's security, people may be like nervous, but other people, for the reason that it cannot be rotated, are getting nervous. So I want to prevent that as we are continuing this exercise in a company environment, and the security audit has not yet found us, but in the month the security audit asks us, the one question they will ask is, how do you rotate your keys? And this is one of the standard questions.
It's actually not hard on Minion. You just delete it and it gets the new one. You know,
You haven't said that.
I haven't.
Because if you find that the master suddenly is no longer presenting the public key it presented yesterday, you must not connect.
Right, true.
It could be the enemy.
Right, somebody could.
Yeah, it needs to be sort of done
Intentionally.
Yeah, exactly. The minion needs to get that new public key from a master running the old public key.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's rewind and delete what you said. No,
Okay.
that's from a security perspective. Salt isn't up to. It's like, I don't know who has an audit done on that, but this is really something which I'm not working in security, but I need to prepare that they will come to me someday, and you should too. I'm surprised that it's not in there, but I mean, life is full of surprises. So I see where the SEP is. I will find some time and create a SEP for that. You can.
Okay. And you can link to those two issues.
Definitely, yeah. And I think, David, you sent also. I don't find it again. I think you found some scanner company, virus scanner product, which does a very similar thing. But do I remember that?
Yeah,
halfway?
I referred to that ESET company.
Because they do
Yes.
something similar.
Yeah, they just talk about it in the documentation.
Okay, ESET. So I will write ESET again because I think that's just a note. And after that, I will put it all in the scribble here and create in the Marcus creates the ESET. Okay, ESET virus protection.
Do you have a link to that document?
I'll have to look again.
I thank you. How could you have sent me that lately last time? You haven't sent me email. You haven't sent me Slack. I think you sent me something, but where?
I don't think I sent you anything.
Okay, then.
Yeah, we did discuss it at the last.
Yes, I think we looked at it. That was it. We looked at the last meeting. We looked at ESET and we looked at the documentation, something like that. SAP for key irritation, yes. And but that's well no. Which project? So we should put that not on it's for any laptop people. So it's not a problem for servers running in a data center.
Right. It's not a problem just for Windows, but since you were going to do it, I put it down as an action item.
Oh, right. I know. Right. In fact, I write the SEP, and that's no longer a Windows SEP. You're right. Sorry. My fault. Yes. Good. Then yeah, I would add something, or not to write it down. What Windows uses to interact with Windows is the famous PyWin32 module by Mark Hammond. And Mark Hammond, if you look at the code, it's a 20-year-old, so it's a very stable thing. Windows 32 API also. It's C++ and it's a bizarre project. When I looked at it, I tried to make a pull request. In few words, it's really terrible. What we install when we install PyWin32 is it's written here. It's not only that you get the Windows 32 API, you also get the COM objects, and you get the wonderful editor, which drives me crazy because it comes with a graphical interface, and that's the reason why some graphic libraries is also a DLL. The DLL for the graphics library is included. So I have a personal vendetta here running with those other. So what we only need the non-graphical API, Windows API. The only thing we have is the PyWindows 32 because all the other Windows API are bullshit. I looked at them. And but what we have also is Microsoft creating for us a Rust Windows API, which is Microsoft and no longer people running on their spare time. I would propose to you here now to discuss whether we want to close the gap between Python and Rust, which isn't really that great, I tell you, and you must question that, because there's a Rust API waiting for us. And this here, the Python win is just, we cannot get it out. And also what you see here, Swig is the method to interact between Python and C++. Don't look into it too closely before you are seated. This Swig isn't elegant. It creates 2 million errors per minute, and I don't like it. So what we are getting here is a 10-year-old method to talk between Python and C++. It's getting too much into Salt for what we need. And these people struggle. If you look into the setup file, just look into the setup file. and tell me what this is. I don't understand that setup file.
Have you looked at salts?
Actually, no, that's a fair comparison probably, but so I fail to understand what I should do here to keep all the parts. It's in you cannot get them out of their way.
You see this a lot in older Python projects where they relied heavily on the setup.py. Now they're moving away from setup.py and they want you to use it's like setup.config.cfg, and there's I can't remember that. I just watched a talk on it at PyCon this week. It was like
Is it the TOML file?
What's a what?
TOML file? Is it?
Yes,
No?
some TOML file.
Project.toml or something.
PyProject?
No,
Yeah,
just I think it's project.toml, isn't it?
PyProject.toml. That's the file they want you to use now to, and they want everything done with pip instead of using setup.py. And I don't know all the details of how it works, but salts like that. If you look at salts setup.py, it's pretty long and nasty. I mean,
Yep.
It's pulling down, it checks to see if you're on Windows and pulls down the DLLs for you. And, you know, it installs the requirements from the package directory under requirements, and it tries to do many things, you know.
Yes, and the TOML file, so the Rust world is already at TOML file. It's what is, or as you have no experience, I would slightly propose you spend, you answer me, because I can't do that alone. I would have to find somebody somewhere to help me within the Salt community. So I think the only people who are been interested in a small Python interface to Windows, especially without graphical stuff, and this makes it a very small thing. One of the biggest packages in Windows is that PyWindows 32, and it is the biggest package because of all the graphical interface we do not need. But so if it's not you, and we all, maybe this project isn't a small one, even if we have to find the Python to Rust interface, because all the rest is done by Microsoft, which sounds good into my ears. I would need to find companions for that. I don't want to start alone, and maybe I drop out in the middle. This is Py03. It's fantastically easy. So I wrote hello world in Rust, and then I made I added 2 lines, which would be these PyFunction, PyModule, and then there you are. Then you have hello world from Rust in Python. And the funny thing with Rust is I think it's a really has the potential to replace C and C++ for good. You may have read that it entered the Linux kernel itself. It will take a long time. It will take next years before it really replaces anything serious like the TCP stack or so. But security-wise, and I'm getting more and more concerned, when your oil pipeline was hacked, I was really concerned. But most of the security problems are memory problems, and Rust puts an end to memory problems. I think all the other benefits are much smaller.
Okay. This sounds like a large undertaking, though.
Yes, if Microsoft wouldn't have created the Rust to Windows API. It would be what I intend to do is not write any single function, but to write all these lines of code which needs to be introduced in a rep or run a Python script, which creates an enormous amount of very stupidly created Python interfaces to Rust. I wouldn't write a single line of Python myself. All we have to add is Python function, Python library, and then takes this next function and use Python function and put it above it. And this would create like a, how do you call that? A glue? Or no, there's another nice word for it. So I would let Microsoft do all the heavy lifting or the heavy work. It's ready. You're looking at it? No, calendar.
Yeah,
No.
Windows
Oh, yeah,
RS.
that's Microsoft. That's it. If you want to program on the, I opened it. I have the hello world in a window. It's blazingly fast. Compiles for a minute or two. So Microsoft has gone from C++ or whatever they did. I don't care. Microsoft offers us a Rust API. From Rust to Python is some lines of code added at the same place everywhere and repeat. So I wouldn't start programming Rust. I will not learn Rust the next 2 years. I would take that.
And that works with this project you're saying, Pio3?
Yes, I would discuss to take this project. The biggest problem I see is they call themselves a 0. something version. I believe because all the types are not ready yet. If we need to only talk to the operating system via string. I think the string, or we need to maybe ask them how stable the string type is, because all the other things, I think they are still in a version 0.13, because they do some object translation magic between nested types and all this. But all we need is string. So we can ask whether that part is stable. We do not need numbers. We will always communicate with the Windows interface via string, as far as I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we need numbers and strings somewhere.
I don't know enough about this.
No, you can't. I want to just to start the discussion.
Okay. Well, I have no opinion on it. That's until I dig into it. And the problem you have with PyWin32 is the inclusion of GUI APIs.
Yes, I tried to reduce the size of the Windows installation to a lot. And one of the first things I see, and also it bugs me that we need to include DLLs, which we never use. So from a security and from it's a combined security, that code removal, it also has a benefit of reducing. Oh, somehow I have made a pull request here in that wonderful thing. I told them I have reduced the size. I went into that setup Pi, hacked around, and I reduced the size from, I don't know, 1 megabyte to a few 10 kilobyte, which we need them because, oh, this is the Win32. This is the only thing we need, or Salt needs. And it's a fraction. We do not need Adobe Abapi or anything.
ADODB API.
Well, let's add it. That's another 10 kilobyte in size. The problem is Python Win and all this graphical stuff, which is behind, I think it's behind COM somewhere. When you open that, you can use any Windows Salt installation and open PyWindows. It's a graphical editor for Python.
That's all this is?
That's a graphical integrated, like the Python comes with the integrated ADI, and this is yet another one. And all Salt Windows minions contains it.
Yeah, I wonder if, can we just pull that out after the fact, or is it required?
I have
Can
no
we
idea.
do it as a part of our build script, remove it? Or does it break Salt?
No, it wouldn't, but I wouldn't start investing time into that. I would rather invest time in going the Rust way.
Yeah, but that seems like a pretty quick win. If all I got to do is add this to the build script and have it not include it, then that fixes the issue with the size and including something we don't need.
You can try. I've never tried that. As it's not used, you can probably simply remove it. Yeah, there is one of my other pull requests which requires to put Linux stuff out of the way. We could add Python Win to that list, but it requires time to, or at least one test, of course. Yeah, blow that away. Python Win is not used in the Salt minion. But that's only one problem. But of course, that's one of the biggest problem, and security-wise, it contains the MFC. It's called the Microsoft Foundation classes are only included because of Python Win. And if you, I mean, yeah.
What are the foundation classes you're talking about?
The Microsoft Foundation classes are an old-fashioned way to interact with a graphical interface, and it must be somewhere. It must be somewhere you can search for MFC. But I wouldn't. I have spent enough time on PyWin. I would rather replace it than improve it. I try to improve it. I'm done with that. Also, because there is another aspect of using Rust. I think we should be aware that we want to make Salt speedy and incredibly cool, which is the same thing. And Rust offers a perfect way to incrementally replace Python code with Rust wherever you need it. So as soon as we, whoever we is, know how to incrementally replace parts of Python with Rust, we are doing whatever. Sorry?
It's the Python Win. That's what we were.
Yeah, you can blow that into the sky, but
It's 10 megs.
Yeah, that's 10 megs of silly graphical.
And you're saying that's part of the PyWin 32.
It is.
Okay. Oh, it just drops them all as separate packages. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to do a Salt call.
That's funny. Oh, it takes a while. It's a virtual machine?
Yeah, this is a VM I got running.
Okay.
Okay, so dude, I don't, let's just remove that. That's 10 megs. That saves us a lot. So let me add that to the working group. Remove Python Win GUI interface. 32. What else? What else can come out of that? You were saying auto duck. Does that get installed?
I don't know what. I don't remember having looked. I don't remember what Autodoc is. I even don't know. Maybe it's part of a testing system, or I'm not sure it's installed.
Wage not in there, 8008, 8008, that is.
It
What
must
would
have
we
to do
need
with databases. I wouldn't do that removal without thoroughly testing rather the running the whole test thing. And it's not big. How big is that silly stuff? It's kilobyte.
520, okay.
No,
No.
the big win is Python win, and I would stop here.
What is ISAPI? That's 2K, 200.
Not worth thinking about. I don't know what ISAPI is.
Win32 is the one you need.
Yes, there
And-
is something else we can remove, which is the DirectX communication. I'm not sure you can find it easily. PyWin32 also lets you communicate with DirectX, which
With DirectX?
DirectX, yes. So
I guess I'd have to find that. Whatever. Find it.
But
Okay, I don't,
sorry if I can repeat the question. If I can make you more curious about Python and Solve, the intention is to start with. I think replacing PyWin32 is even a low-hanging fruit because it's Microsoft plus some glue. But we wouldn't program any Rust. But as soon as that idea, that concept has fascinated us, I would start to make or find if somebody else maybe in this Rust or on Slack I wanted to ask who is already using some Rust parts to make Python fast, because this is a trend. We could be jumping.
I'll start looking at Python and Rust and this library that you mentioned, Windows RS.
Mhm.
And see how that integrates. I don't understand how this integrates, how it would get called, how it exposes the Windows API.
Have a look.
Right, I'm gonna have to get into it. So I'll take a look at that.
Yep. And they have a discussion here. If you jump to discussions, please. That's also maybe we can adopt from discussions. Somebody is asking, so how do I create a service? Here it's exactly, and this is what I wanted to send you. So this Kenny Care just recently, that's 3 weeks ago, said, yeah, it's easy. Let's have a look into here and here. So it's not easy, but we can maybe. That's why I said maybe the service we can write in Rust, because Microsoft is kind of pushing Rust and not Python. And as soon as we know how to integrate Rust in Python, we are done. So I would suggest, or I would like to inspire that we use Rust as an entry point to all the good stuff Microsoft gives us on a golden plate. That was really perfect, was it?
True.
So-
And Microsoft's maintaining it, and
Yeah.
they know their
we
code.
we do not try to be one of the few people who understands how to create a service in Python. Yes, it exists, but it's 10 years old, and we do not know what happens if it's on scale. Microsoft is pushing Rust, and even to the point they want to make a service running in Rust. So let's wait until they have finished that. And I would even participate here and say, okay, I tried it, I read it, can you have a look? And this is a guy from Microsoft. What else can I want?
Okay. All right, well, we're way over time.
Oh.
But I'll take a look at that, Marcus. I appreciate you bringing that up. And was there anything quickly that we could address quickly before we left
Sorry if I
today?
spoke too much.
No, it's good.
Marcus, when you said that there's problems with Unicodes, What are you referring to?
I'm still seeing question marks. So it no longer breaks. So I'm running on Windows, on a German Windows. I apologize for that. And I say dir or something, and we have this, or even worse, when a service is running, this word running translated into German includes an umlaut, and it's a question mark, or cannot display that character in Unicode, and this will break if somebody is looking for it. So I myself have to program if it's this word starts with running, it's ausgeführt in German. So if it starts with ausge and it ends with führt, then it probably means I don't care what. And I said, this is silly. I have to do this with a minion 3002.
Okay, because I see this problem where the high state returns and it's not well formatted. It starts with that B quote thing, if people know what I mean.
Binary, yeah. No, B? No, sorry.
The whole string, which you would normally be output, the high state output, or the state output, the whole of it starts with a B and a single quote, and then it doesn't have any of the formatting.
I see. That's a different problem.
It's right. It's different. But it's only, I need to kind of narrow down which state of mine is causing it. But I believe it's because I have a program name which has accented characters.
Ah, interesting. Maybe related though. Yeah. The Unicode thing is difficult. So it's when Shane, you asked for something short and sweet, we should have the Unicode here somewhere already, and you can add the state output too, but it's something which makes programming difficult. I can work around. So what you do when you get a B single quotation mark?
What do I do? Oh, well, it's only it's an output, it's a presentation, so I just deal with it.
Okay.
I just I have, but it means I have to kind of I should find an example and show it, but none of the state outputs are kind of formatted correctly, so I have to sort of look through each character to look for what I'm looking for, which might be the version number of a package or something. But yeah, if it's a different issue, then I should probably raise it separately.
Yeah, even if it's caused by non-ASCII, 7-bit ASCII,
I believe it
is yeah. Then there may be, that's strange. Why the output of the state finally that's bizarre. Maybe we can then later.
Unicode. If you go up, Unicode character bullet breaks salt high state console output. That sounds like. Yeah, that sounds like what that looks like what I get. So I get this B.
Yes.
And with all of those, it's the color output doesn't get sort of processed properly.
Oh, to make the output colorized?
Yeah, that's what those symbols are, the /x1b. But the problem is, I mean, I don't particularly care about the color, but the state output comes out in one long line.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
With all of those kind of sort of markup type things.
So it's not really. It's the color for the colorizing the output.
But I think it's the bullet or whatever which is causing the output to be not processed correctly. If you see what I mean. So
Hmm.
The slash x, the hex stuff is also a sort of a victim of the output. I mean, yeah, I should. If it's yeah, it looks like it's still a problem for me anyway. But I thought the whole move to Python 3 was supposed to deal with that.
Yeah, that's nicely put. Could you link
Okay.
to that? Could you link that to the Unicode problems? Because it's definitely the Unicode problem, and there may be many sub problems, but so we do not look at it again. Research, we do not need to search it for it again. And Python 3, well, I have to, unfortunately, I have to mention that the treatment of the code page isn't from what I feel. I have the suspicion it's not handled correctly still. So whatever Python is capable of, Salt adds code page setting and unsetting, jumping, which is also influencing all that here. So we are not speaking only about Python 3, but also about Python 3 plus whatever we do with the code page.
Right, I see.
And I had to, this must be taken very carefully because it's an enormous amount of code. Code page guessing on 3 places, where I think it becomes difficult to discuss.
Okay, well, so there's issues with, yeah, well, the code page stuff was to try to address a lot of the Unicode.
Yeah, and we
issue.
need code page handling. In short words, we should not try to put it. So my good friend David Boucher started with code page 437, and then we changed that to Unicode UTF-8, but that's both wrong. Setting any code page from my point of view is wrong. It's maybe just more complicated than we can discuss here. But I followed this discussion for years, and the right attempt needs careful thinking and preparation
And testing.
Yeah, I in fact, you decided against having a machine setting up with a German operating system. You can use French for that matter, but you need a machine running on a non-English operating system before you get close to the problems. You leave us on the rest of the world finding the problems by a test loop. That's not smart. And having a virtual machine set up in German or French isn't that costly. I think somehow somebody asked for it and it was declined, so deal with it.
Okay, I think I could put one on my box here.
Yep.
And try. Would Spanish be enough?
If they have strange characters, I don't speak Spanish, but yes, they have. So
it has some. It has the backwards accent, the accent that goes the other way.
Yeah, and it's important that I can tell you what to test for. Like service running will break any implementation because of the you need to hit where the umlaut is breaking things. So I know it for German. So if you use Spanish, then you can find out where the problem is. I would advise you. I can bring you the test case for German.
Right. Okay.
And even simpler for drive, the Germans use an umlaut. So if but I think using a dir always breaks, but not hard enough. So if service running, I think that's the best example I can come up with. And I can write that here, by the way. I will add that because I have to run to the toilet soon. So
okay. And haven't you created some issues on it, Marcus?
Yes. Unicode? Yes. Tons. Like
Unicode.
5, 6. I can add them too. Yes.
Okay. if you'd link those to that.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for your time today, for attending, and I appreciate you coming, and hopefully we can get some of these taken care of.
Well, thank you for leading discussion.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, well, the input's been awesome. So, okay, well, we'll talk again next month, and chat as always in the Slack, and you need to email or whatever, however you need to contact me or contact one another if we need to. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Okay,
Have a
cheers.
nice
Bye.
day. Bye-bye.
See ya.